This is episode 213 of the Rise Up Podcast. We're a morning radio show hosted by Steve and Tim on Family Life, a network of stations across New York and Pennsylvania. This podcast is a weekly conversation designed to help you think and laugh and keep your eyes on Jesus. If you haven't already, subscribe today so you don't miss a single episode. And find out more about our show at familylife.org.
It's Steve and Tim helping you to rise up on Family Life, a friend you can turn to.
I didn't grow up. Now, I had loving parents and a loving family, and we all, loved each other, but we celebrated Easter in a different way than we do now and our kids did, because I didn't know Jesus when I was growing up. So Easter was about, and maybe this is you too, Easter was about, it was fun. It was good because it was like Easter baskets. It was candy.
Come on.
It was chocolate bunnies.
There you go.
It was all that. And so it was fun. And there's nothing wrong.
No.
The different part of it was that was it. That was the celebration.
Yeah.
But now, once I know Jesus and knew Jesus and raised our kids, it was a different, it was like, I didn't grow up knowing the story of what Jesus did for me. I just didn't know it. Maybe I'd heard little ramblings about it but I didn't really understand it. I just cared about the chocolate Easter bunny, right?
Right.
And so it reminds me a little bit. It's almost like you as a kid, and then you grow up to be a parent of a kid. As a kid, you don't think much about what's going on in life. You just go about life and, things happen. And it's about the things when I was a kid. Now you become a parent and you're like, all of a sudden you realize what your parent did for you.
Wow.
And it's like, wow. Yeah. It's like, wow, they sacrificed, did this for me as a child. And so that's the comparison I take with now that I understand the Easter message, and as opposed to just, that was fun. That was the thing. It was like what Jesus did for me.
Yes.
I mean, the ultimate sacrifice.
Wow.
And it just brings a whole different meaning. And it's not to say you can't have those other things as part of the celebration, but when you make the focus that sacrifice of Jesus going to the cross, it just reminds me of my growth from a little kid to now parenting kids when they were little. And they're like, wow, look what my parents did. But more importantly, look what my Jesus did for me.
Yes. I had the experience, Steve, of growing up, as we've talked about before on the show, in a home where church was always part of it, and Bible teaching at home was part of it too. It didn't just stop at church. I mean, I'm endlessly grateful for that, literally eternally grateful for that. And Easter was a day where we celebrated with the fun things, and the Easter message woven right through all of that, though. Like, my favorite treat every year was to look forward to the crosses Nanny would make. It's where you take a Snickers bar, 2 Snickers bars.
Okay.
You take one, you cut the other one in half, and with toothpicks, you take those 2 smaller halves and you stick them into the one full-size Snickers bar. The shape you get is a cross. So you have this candy cross. You would write every grandkid's names. Each one would get their own Snickers cross with their name written in frosting on it. It was always fun to look around and be like, oh, let's see mine this year, because they're all decorated special.
Here's another memory when I go back to my childhood. Now, okay, fast forward to high school, and I'll be eternally grateful for the friend of mine, and maybe this encourages you to ask someone to go to church with you. There was a friend of mine who I graduated with in high school, but this is like maybe 9th or 10th grade now, and his family invited me to his church later on. But before they invited me to church, I would hang around with my friend Tommy, and Tommy and I, Good Friday was the day off from school.
Okay.
So to me, that's great. Hey, great, Friday. Hey, Tommy, can I come over and we're going to play basketball at your house? Is that okay? And he goes, yeah, we do that. But we have to stop playing at noon.
Wow.
We can't play, we'll play, but at noon, we're going to stop.
Wow.
Between noon and 3, we're going to not play. And I'm like, okay, because he said it's Good Friday. And I still didn't understand.
Wow.
But it was an introduction to that. It was a seed planted in my heart. And when he invited me to church and his family invited me to church, that was a seed planted. Now, that seed didn't develop for another dozen years after that when I accepted Jesus as Lord and Savior, but it was an introduction. It was a seed planted. So maybe you're wondering, should I invite somebody to church, whether it be Easter Sunday or any Sunday? Because when they first invited me, it wasn't Easter Sunday. It was just Sunday. You want to come to church? you may not see what happens to that person, but it's a seed planted in their heart that they may go to church and come away with no outwardly reaction. But you know you're doing what God wants you to do, invite someone, and that seed is planted deep in someone's heart. It'll take different, maybe that specific Sunday you invited, they'll accept Jesus. Maybe it'll take a dozen years, maybe whatever. But it's a seed planted. So again, as I think of Easter, and I think of Tommy Hall and his family that invited me to church, I'll be forever, eternally grateful for that. And I didn't understand why I couldn't play basketball at noon on Good Friday between noon and 3, but now I do, and it was a seed planted.
I love that you were invited too, because that's something else I think about with Easter Sunday. That in our family growing up, I don't remember bringing somebody else to the service, but I do remember folks who hadn't come to our house for dinner before, but they were invited for Easter dinner. And I really loved that because the way it was celebrated is that in the home, you couldn't miss that the gospel would be presented, like to the family. The kids would go through the gospel with these little story eggs. Again, Nanny making fun and truth come together for Easter time. And this was something that somebody would see when they were invited over, or they were part of it. And I'm really grateful for that example to have in my own past, to remember that, yes, it's great to have a day that is, special family memories together, but it doesn't have to be exclusive. Like, you don't have to lock other people out of it. You can bring other people into it. And the way you celebrate can be something, if it fits with where you're at and with what you're able to do, inviting people over. Maybe it is really that great way, like you said, what it was for you, Steve, that a seed can be planted. So I'm grateful, for the opportunity Easter is to invite somebody into the joy of seeing what we celebrate as Christians.
Can I finish this, or at least add a story, a family memory, a Smith family memory that's more on the chuckling ha-ha side, which is the way our family is sometimes. But Will's very first Easter egg hunt was at church. It was after the Sunday service. And then so we'd go, and there was the big roped off area where they put all the plastic Easter eggs with the little treats inside. But this was just all the different age groups. And I think Will was, I want to say 2 years old at the time, or 2 or 3, But there was also the up to young teenagers. Anyway, so it was like, hundreds of people. And then they count down to 3, 2, 1, and everybody like runs to that thing. So Will's like little, and Audrey's holding him like 3, 2, 1. And you can just imagine the massive.
Oh, the horde.
Oh, the horde, and the noise. And we put Will down to go, and he just sat there frozen and went, and just cried his eyes out.
No.
So that wasn't
too much.
It's too much.
Too much Easter joy at once.
Too much Easter joy at once. But that's a Smith family memory of the old Easter egg hunt. But family memories. But
right.
The difference for me, just putting Jesus first instead of that little chocolate Easter bunny. Nothing wrong with the chocolate Easter bunny or the Snickers bars.
No, they can both point to the right thing.
Exactly.
Thanks for making us part of your morning routine. It's Rise Up with Steve and Tim on Family Life.
A lot of people had hope last week. Started with 68 teams, then 64, 32.
Oh, boy.
Now down to the Sweet 16, Tim. What do you think about that NCAA basketball tournament, huh?
It's basketing ball for sure,
there you go.
Steve.
Brackets busted. Suddenly you thought you were an expert, and then about 12 minutes later, it's like, whoops, okay, maybe I was wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing I thought, I wish gas prices would drop like 64 to 32 to 16. And let it down to $1.99. Well, a guy can dream.
Well, yeah, for a time machine, maybe.
Yeah, it does make you think, though. Some things in life matter. Some don't. Some things affect your life. Some just affect your bracket. But here's the cool part. God made us all different. Different interests, different callings, different ways we're wired. So if you don't care about basketball, that's all right. You're still in the game. God's doing something unique in you. And no, your life is not getting eliminated in the first round. You are priceless in God's game.
We hope the rest of your day is just as much fun as this. You're listening to Rise Up on Family Life.
Parents with middle schoolers or just school teachers will understand the challenge I'm facing right now. I've got 3rd through 5th grade students in Wednesday night Bible class at our church, and you go through the Bible, memorize different things, Bible verses. You've got things like John 3:16 or Genesis 1:1. Well, recently and this is where the parents will get it. We had a Bible verse with a 6 and a 7 in it. Yeah, that's right. I hesitate to even say 6, 7, but I will, because middle schoolers, well, they can't ignore a Bible verse that has those 2 numbers in it. One dad online, though, Gene Santiago, decided this was how he'd engage his young son for Bible study. Listen.
That God is the original 6-7er. Come here. Okay? But godliness with contentment is great gain, for we brought nothing into this world and we could take nothing out of it. Okay? Peep what verse that is. 1 Timothy 6, 7. Okay, you catch it on. Okay, hear me out. Okay. And when you pray, do not keep on babbling like pagans, okay? For they think they will be heard because of their many words. Guess what verse that is? Matthew 6, 7. Okay, come on. From 6 calamities he will rescue you. And 7, no harm will touch you. 6. Okay, hear me out. Oh, God saw all that he made and it was very good. By the 7th day, God has finished the work he's been doing. God created the earth in 6 days, and then on the 7th, he rested. God is the original 6-7, my boy. Why is it
6-7?
May the blessings of the Lord be with you in all that you do today. This is Rise Up on Family Life.